summers, 20 winters through, friendship bloomed, me and you. From Manila's heat to Montreal's snow, our bond continued to grow. Oceans apart, yet close at heart. Different worlds, but never apart. Sharing stories, laughter, and dreams. Our friendship stronger than it seems. Two cities, one song, where we both belong. Manila to Montreal, hand in hand, our friendship will always stand. From jeepneys to maple leaves, our memories will never leave. Through screens and calls, we stay in touch. This bond means so much. Two cities, one song, where we both belong. Manila to Montreal, hand in hand, our friendship will.
Director General of United Against Hate Canada, and we welcome you here along with our many, many partner groups I'm going to introduce in a minute. Before I begin, I want to give a special shout out to Jojo, Laoud, and to Damat, who gave us this hall as their support for our event. They believe in this agreement and they want to see it progress. So thank you, Jojo, and thank you to the executive board of Damat. Boom. Mesdames et messieurs, on va commencer le programme dans quelques instants. We're going to start the program in a few minutes. But let me note those who really helped make this special occasion today. One is our partner in crime, Al Abdon, the chair of the Filipino Heritage Society of Montreal. United Against Hate Canada has a formal agreement with the Filipino Heritage Society, and together we've done all sorts of amazing stuff over the last year. But I also want to acknowledge our other partners, our good friend Terry Danzel, the president of United Filipino Seniors, Milda Mazzoni, the president of the Federation of Filipino Canadian Association of Quebec. Ramon Vicente will be here eventually, I hope, he's supposed to speak, president of Filipino Family Services. We also have Jeanette Perignon, president of Kahira Ilganon Association, and Remedios Monteguedo, the president of the Quebec Council on Filipino Canadian Business and Trade. I also know that there's a delegation from the Filipino Nurses Association, includes Cora Abdon, the ex-officio president, Maggie Calcidas, the founder, with her husband Benji, son Ted. Mr. Alan Robles from the organization will join us, as will, I think, Pierre Flamertes, who will join us as well. Later today, a couple members of our board for United Against Hate Canada are supposed to be here. Barry Belendra, Ellie Israel, and Norberto Mandin. Also want to note that we have received notice from Dario Bocco, the former regional commander of the Knights of Rizal for Quebec, as well as the president of the Canadian Council of Filipino Association of Quebec, will be here later today. As is already here, Hubert Sisson, the new president of the Philcan Chess and Social Club. I note the presidents are Roy Sangier, the Filipino Basketball League, our friends from Panday Tinig, who will be singing the national anthems in a few minutes. Want to note the presence of our guest speakers from today, City Councilor Stephanie Valenzuela. For those of you who don't know, Stephanie is a candidate for borough mayor in the election of November 2nd. Also want to recognize some members of her team who are here today. Yvonne Nguyen, candidate in Copenhagen. Joanny Tiagarajan, who's candidate in Darling. So a couple of people who could not make it give you their greetings, one of which comes from my new bud, Jose V. Chan Gonzaga, the ambassador of the Philippines to Canada. We do have his message. We will show his message. He even contacted me this morning, so nervous to make sure that we had a good crowd and be a great event. I also want to share the warm greetings of Louisa and Dick Dahirak. They're well known in the community for their work. Could not make it today, wish them success, and Julieta Paredo as well. We will now go to the national anthems as performed by Hamday Timeg. I recognize Paul Imperial, the musical director, and Chidita Federico, the accompanist, this well-renowned choral ensemble. Mesdames, Messieurs. everybody to take their seats. Grab your chair.
Ramon is coming. Ramon is coming. Just park.
And, Ellie? Michael?
Much so.
Michael. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, we are gathered here to celebrate the 20th anniversary of an agreement that is meaningful to so many Montrealers, particularly those of Filipino origin and heritage. October 5th, 2005, I believe it was a Wednesday, Montreal's Executive Committee concluded 14 months of discussions by ratifying the Montreal-Manila Friendship Agreement. I remember getting a call from Gerald Tremblay, the mayor. He said 2 words to me: it's done. It's done. Today, we are here to breathe new life into this agreement. It has been dormant since the current Montreal administration was elected in November 2017. We urge those who will be elected in November 2025 to reanimate this agreement and to capture and seize and enhance its full potential. Twin city agreements, sister city agreements are urban diplomacy on a global scale. They lead to exchanges for cultural and sports reasons. They lead to economic growth, investments. They foster understanding and cooperation between peoples. The current Montreal administration has allowed most of Montreal's 30 agreements to lapse. They have not believed in Montreal's reaching out on an international scale, as did the 3 mayors before the current one. Mayor Bourque, Mayor Tremblay, Mayor Coder saw Montreal as a player and one that would benefit with agreements with other cities. They all signed agreements. Some of them were only for friendship. Others had specific actions. Most of those don't exist anymore. Why? The current administration has decided to do nothing. Let me give you a couple of examples. It isn't only Manila that's been slighted. It's also places like Tel Aviv, Yerevan in Armenia, Dublin, Algiers, Athens, Tunis, Hiroshima, Shanghai, Paris. All cities that had agreements with Montreal, cities that have not been able to benefit from these agreements over the last 8 years. So let's look briefly at the history of this agreement. It was the desire of Filipino leaders for greater contact between the Philippines and Canada and between Montreal and cities in the Philippines. There was a huge spurt in the growth of the Filipino population in Quebec in the 1990s and the beginning of the year 2000. And it was particularly 2 individuals who really pushed for stronger ties. And that was Alberto Apiero, the late Alberto Apiero, Tata Bert, and James de la Paz. And I had already been looking into what we could be doing. And I've already discovered that the city of Vaughan in Ontario had an agreement with Baguio City in the Cordillera region of the Philippines. And I also discovered that Winnipeg had an agreement with Manila. And so I said, why not Montreal? And I talked to Bert and I talked to James, and they were all gung ho, we should do something. So I took the initiative on my own, without telling anyone. I do that a lot. Writing to Mayor Lito Atienzo in Manila. I said, listen, I have this idea, and I would like to work with you to develop a friendship agreement between Montreal and Manila. What do you say? Well, what he said, all of you have the kits. You will see there's a letter dated September 10th, 2004. This letter gave me the good news that Manila was now our sister city, that it had adopted this motion on August the 31st. Here's the motion. Unanimously adopted by the City Council of Manila, motion number 64. And it basically said, we're their twin city. Well, this came as a surprise to me, and I had to go see Mayor Tremblay, explain to him we had a new sister city, and nobody on city council in Montreal knew anything about it. Now, even the embassy was a bit apologetic. He said, when he jumped the gun, he should have said, we're willing to do it, then the two of you could have done it at the same time. Then again, Mayor Tremblay was delighted. He said the Filipino community is growing. They are enhancing our city. They are making things better here in Montreal. I want to be twinned with Manila. Make it happen. And then we ran into something called channels, bureaucracy. All the civil servants were ready to help, but ready to help meant it took 14 months. In your kits, you have the motion that was adopted by the Borough Council of Coconut NDG on the 6th of September 2005. This declared the friendship, but it wasn't official until this happened. I have the actual, really short text dated 5 October 2005. And that text made it official. And then today is exactly 20 years. Under Mayors Tremblay and Coder, this agreement had real life. Mayor Tremblay invited the Filipino community to City Hall. The speaker for the community was Annie Mia, who lives in Snowden on Mountainside. She's in Ireland today, but not next to the meeting. She gave thanks to the mayor for having followed up on the initial work by the city of Manila. There were 250 people there, including embassy officers. Out of that became a number of exchanges. In your kits, I just showed 2 pictures. There's a picture of me with this guy who's larger than life. He used to be president of the Philippines till he got impeached and put in jail. The next president pardoned him, and he decided to run for mayor of Manila, and he became mayor of Manila. His name is Joseph Estrada. He's pretty well known in the Philippines. Joseph told me when we were there, she told me it was supposed to be me, him, my wife Jackie, and 3 or 4 people on his side. On his side, there were a brass band of 75 people, 100 police officers in full dress uniform, and 250 people given the day off in Manila City Hall to come and meet. The Canadian delegation was Jackie Wall, Marvin Rotrat, and someone from the Canadian Embassy, the 3 of us. Joseph told me his prime achievement in his entire life was winning the Academy Award as Best Actor in the Philippines. Being president or mayor was secondary. I was also invited by the next guy, who's now the mayor again. His name is Isco Moreno. Isco was vice mayor when this was taken. And he told me he was term limited out. He was going to run for the Senate. In the Philippines, they have elections every 3 years for the Senate. Half the Senate's up for election. The first, it's a national election. You have to have millions of votes to be elected. Isco came 13th. Only the first 12 got on. So he was out of office until he decided to run again for mayor of Manila. And that's what he did. So he wanted to see the growth of this agreement. Here's a letter from FAMEX, dated 2014, signed by Nida Cuarapes, who was the new president at that time, urging Montreal to do more. Mayor Russell Kochman, the mayor of this borough, wrote to his counterparts in Manila and said he's ready to negotiate to go further. Unfortunately, Russell lost the 2017 election, and a new team took over, and Twin Cities have been off the agenda. However, I did get this through the Borough Council in 2021, just before the end of my own mandate as council. And it basically said, Montreal, get off your butt, if I can use that word, and do something. This is a unanimously adopted motion by the Borough Council pledging to do its utmost. For the candidates here today, unfortunately, the current Borough Council, headed by the Montreal team, has refused to act on a motion of its own council. And should you be elected in a few weeks' time, I hope you will take up the cudgel and do something. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's an agreement that has a lot of potential. It can lead to all sorts of exchanges between Montreal and Manila. I held a meeting about 15 years ago. To my surprise, 200 people showed up and asked them, what is it that you want to see in this agreement? And the number one thing that came up is Montreal's public transit is excellent. They need help in Manila. Number 2, waste management. People came up with all sorts of good ideas. Unfortunately, the city has refused that. So I'm going to count on all of you. You're here today because you believe in this agreement. Together, we'll make sure that it gets back on the table and that there's a different approach by the next administration. That being said, I am now going to call up our guest speaker, Stephanie Valenzuela. Stephanie is the city councilor for Darlington District, and as I mentioned before, a candidate for office as borough mayor. Even though it's a nonpartisan meeting, I want to tell you who I'm casting my vote for on November 2nd. It will be for Stephanie Valenzuela. Stephanie, the floor.
Thank you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Good morning, good afternoon. It is such an honor for me not only to be here as your current city councilor, as the candidate for mayor of the borough of Cotaneche NDG, but of course as a member of the Filipino community. I'd like to start by thanking Marvin and all of the leaders of our community that have been working on this agreement for the last 20 years. We are where we are as a community, and I am able to do the job that I'm doing because of your effort in getting our community recognized, your effort in getting Manila and the Montreal Friendship Sister City Agreement recognized as well. What I'd like to say, not only as your city councilor, a member of this community, and hopefully your future mayor, is that the potential between the city of Montreal and Manila is enormous. It's immense. We have to think about the Indo-Pacific strategy that has already been put in place by the Canadian government and how we are looking as a nation, but also as a city, to diversify our relationships and our exchanges between not just our city, but everywhere else in the world. Everything that has been going on in the last few months with the United States has pushed Montreal to think outside the box. And this is the perfect opportunity for us, not just as a community, but as a metropolis, one of the biggest cities in North America, to reach out to other relationships that we can grow, that we can foster. And that is a relationship that we should be growing with the city of Manila, a city that many of us here love because it's our home. It's where we have our roots and where we have our culture and where we have our exchanges. So what I would like to say is that if we are the administration that is elected on November 2nd, and I'm pretty sure we will because look at this room, you will all be helping us get that done. There's definitely going to come a push from our side, from the borough of Cotaneche NDG, to enforce this agreement that was put in place 20 years ago. So again, I would like to thank you all for your support, for the work that you've done as a community here to really get the recognition that we need as a Filipino community. And every single leader that is here, from Ellie Israel, who used to be the commissioner for the EMSB, that has always been alongside the Filipino community, Marvin, who has been a city councilor for over 39 years, even the great work like Mano, who had worked in the borough of Cotaneche NDG, supporting the city councilors in the work of the motion. It's all thanks to you that we're still continuing the conversation of how important it is to get this agreement actually functioning and with real action. So please know that you can count on myself, Yvonne Nguyen, who is our candidate in Cotaneche, and of course, Malani Chagaraja, who's our candidate in Darlington, and Sunny Morose, our candidate in Snowden. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I hope to be able to call you mayor as November 14th. By the way, November 14th is a day that's meaningful. That's the day I was elected on. Good luck. Thank you for your kind words today. I'm now going to call up our partners in the Filipino Heritage Society, Mr. Al Abdon. He's going to give you more context about this agreement and where we hope that it will go. Mr. Al, the floor is yours. Jackie, would you take a picture of Al and myself?
honored guests, fellow leaders, kababayan, friends, and soon to be councilors and mayor in Montreal, Board of Coordination NDG. Magandang hapon po. Bon après-midi, good afternoon. We're gathered here today as Filipinos, but not only as Filipinos, but as stewards of culture, connections, and community. In our hands lies the power to shape futures, not only in our own neighborhood in Golden Age, but through the generations across the ocean. And one of the most powerful tools that we have is the Twin Cities Agreement, a living symbol of international friendship and collaboration. Let us reflect on the partnership between Manila and Montreal relationship. In 2005, those spirit has been kept alive tirelessly with the efforts of our former Councilor Marvin Rocha. Without Marvin, unwavering commitment, the Manila-Montreal Agreement might have faded into history. It was his outreach that when Manila Mayor Lito Atienza that led to the regional winning motion in 2004, and it was his continued advocacy through community events such as the flag raising of City of Roxborough and Goat St. Luke. As Marvin said himself during the recent Filipino Heritage Month, without continued engagement, these agreements risk being buried. We must keep them alive through action. And that is exactly what he did. That's why we have it. We have this celebration now. Twin cities are not just about diplomacy, they are about people. They allow us to share best practices in the community programming, such as the CPRM broadcast, the Pinoy radio, and the senior willingness to youth engagement. Celebrate heritage through festivities, such as the Philippine Independence Day by the Council of Filipino Association, honoring Dr. Jose Rizal with the Knights of Rizal, Palaro ng Bayan by United Filipino Seniors, Pisa Sanayong by FAMAS, and Fiesta Extravaganza headed by Tenny Rose del Dante. Twin cities build economic bridges, supporting small businesses, artisans, cultural entrepreneurs. As we speak, the QCPCBD, the Quebec Council of Philippines Canadian Business and Trade, led by Rene Montigudo, is leaving for Montreal this Tuesday with the local businesses, and I think some business from Toronto, to establish ties in collaboration with the business in the Philippines. So it's a motion. It's been going on. Promote inclusive leadership where diversity is not just welcome, it's woven in policy and practice. Creating leadership style, values, respect, and activity that includes all people from different backgrounds, identities, and experience. It is not just about who leads, it is how they lead and who they uplift. Shared values, resilience, hospitalities, and deep respect for elders and youth alike. This partnership, this partnership reflects cultural pride from Peña Francia, Santo Niño in Montreal to Santa Cruzan in Manila. Our tradition is thriving across Canada. So, as leaders, we must continue to activate this partnership, not just through formal channels, through grassroots, plus bilingual events that honor sport cities, invite youth to explore heritage, our dance, music, and storytelling, build bridges with elected officials, schools, and faith groups to expand our reach, and the most important is to listen to our elders, to our youth, and our community, because their voices shape the future of this partnership. Remember, when Manila and Montreal walks together, we just don't connect cities. We unite hearts, histories, and hope. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Al. Before we go to our next part of the program, two short announcements. For those who came in late, before you leave, please pick up the kit for today's meeting. And our guest speaker and counselors will have to leave in a few minutes. They're running for election, which means they're really solicited and really busy. I thank them for taking time out of the program. You can leave when you have to leave. We all understand and we wish you best. We are now going to go to a video message from
Ambassador.
the ambassador of the Philippines to Canada. Obviously could not be here today, got obligations in Ottawa, but he did provide a video and he wished everybody good luck today. And 100% support for enhancing this agreement.
Magandang araw po. On behalf of the Embassy of the Republic of the Philippines in Canada, I extend my warmest greetings as we commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Manila Friendship Agreement. To commend the Filipino Heritage Society and United Against Hate Canada, led by Mr. Hannah Blon, Mr. Marvin, respectively, for their strong commitment to being an instrument of lasting. We celebrate today a very significant milestone in the partnership that has fostered understanding and cooperation between our peoples. The relationship between Canada and the Philippines embraces a long history of friendship, collaboration, and mutual support. And as we always say, the anchor of our relations is the vibrant Filipino-Canadian community, whose contributions have enriched the culture and socio-economic landscape of Canada, the adoptive home of our kababayans. In Montreal, in particular, the Filipino community has played a vital role in building bridges of international understanding and cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, friendship agreements are more than just symbolic gestures. They are platforms for working together. They create opportunities for knowledge exchange, cultural interaction, and economic partnerships that can drive growth and development in both countries. Indeed, through the Manila-Montreal Friendship Agreement, there have been endless opportunities for meaningful exchanges. For the city of Manila, the partnership with the city of Montreal can open doors to new technologies, best practices in governance, and innovative approaches to urban development. Conversely, Montreal can learn from our cultural heritage, dynamic economic environment, and the youthful energy that Manila offers. Together, we can create synergies that lead to sustainable and inclusive development, addressing common challenges such as urbanization, climate change, and social equity. As we mark this important milestone, let us reflect on the progress we have made and look forward to the future with renewed commitment. Let us continue to deepen our collaboration to support our communities and to strengthen the ties that unite us. I express the hope that the partnership between Manila and Montreal will continue to prosper and will help improve the lives of our kababayan, both in Quebec and in the Philippines. I want to assure you of the full support of the Philippine Embassy in Ottawa for this event. In closing, to the officials of Montreal, to the Filipino-Canadian community, and to all those who have supported this friendship over the last 2 decades. Maraming salamat po for your dedication and partnership. Mabuhay ang pagkakaibigan ng Montreal and Manila. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
I really like this guy. He already hosted me at the embassy. We talked a couple of times. He's here for 6 years. So get your request ready. He's ready to follow up on everything. He's told me. Mr. What's next on the program? Ladies and gentlemen, I planned this really well, except I left the paper with the program. So next is
Alam oh.
Mr. Bruce, yes.
sorry,
Mr. Bruce.
Jerry Danson.
we have a video from the mayor of St. Luke who is busy campaigning. Over the last number of months, Al Abdon and I have reached out to communities in Canada, and over 20 of them have adopted our motion to celebrate every June as Filipino Heritage Month in Canada. Coast to coast, we got partners everywhere, including big cities and small. In the Montreal area, 3 mayors have been exceptional. And that's Mayor Tim Thomas in Point Claire, Mayor Jim Bass in Pierrefonds Roxborough, and Mitch Brownstein in Côte Saint Luc. In fact, Mitch not
real tangible benefits to both partners. In fact, with the right person standing behind it, the agreement can blossom into far more than it is today. Perhaps that person will be Stephanie Valenzuela, who unfortunately to leave, who with members of her team have publicly endorsed this agreement. That commitment should be seen as simply one more reason to ensure that Stephanie Valenzuela becomes the next Notre Dame de Grace or mayor. The agreement had been in abeyance since the current Montreal administration was elected in 2017. Under previous Mayor Gerard Grambling and Denny Codea, it's celebrated each year. Permit me to love the authors of this agreement, Mayor Rito Atienza of Manila and City Councilor Marvin Rocha. Today, Mr. Rocha no longer sits on City Council, but is the Director General of United Against Hate Canada, and I'm pleased to sit on that organization's board as it pursues cross-cultural dialogue. The organization has worked closely with the Filipino Heritage Society of Montreal and Panday Timid to celebrate Filipino Heritage Month in Canada and to make better known the humanitarianism of President Manuel Quezon and his efforts to save Jewish refugees fleeing the Holocaust. It's as well one of the groups that banded together to do what the city should have done, and that's to mark today to Mark's occasion. I would like to thank all of you who came out today to express your support for this agreement and your hopes that under a new city administration that the agreement will flourish and grow. In the FFCAG's view, the lack of attention to this agreement should be on the mind of voters in this borough as they cast their ballots on November 2. We urge everyone to line up behind the team that supports enhanced relations between Montreal and Manila, and that is Ansan Montreal. Mabuhay Montreal, mabuhay Manila, and thank you everyone.
Thank you, Linda. For our speakers who have a prepared text, I appreciate if you send it to me as PDF and I will circulate it to the community. I'm going to invite Sir Jerry Danville of the United Filipino Senior to come out and do it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our distinguished guests, thank you so much. Fellow volunteers, leaders of the community, we just left our beloved candidates for the city of Montreal. Parents, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good afternoon to all. Today, as we celebrate the 20th Unity Anniversary Agreement between Manila and Montreal, we are reminded of the power of connection. How two cities that ocean apart can be united by one vision of friendship, cooperation, and hope. This anniversary is more than just a day. It is a living reminder that unity builds bridges, fosters understanding, and creates opportunities that benefit us all. Manila and Montreal are proof that when opportunities come together, progress and harmony follow. On this special day, October 5, 2025. Let us strengthen our commitment to this partnership so that the flame of unity continues to shine brightly, bringing peace, prosperity, and shared growth to our people. And before I end up my speech, I will invite you to join the UPSQ. Before, we are always having a social program, but now, since Kevin is too much, it's expensive for us. Obligation, social dancing, we move to 67, 602. And we will invite you to celebrate your birthdays in group. Social dancing, picnic, and the discontinuing education program on tutorial class on laptop computers. And we also added additional continuing program, healthcare, which is all about first aid and CPR. You can join this coming trainings, which will be held in 67 on November 16, 2025. And that's the program we are holding right now to the United Filipino Seniors of Quebec. It's not just going to casino, spending your money. You're lucky you got money, but if you lose, you lost your budget for the whole month. So that's all I could say. I hope we'll see you there in our program. Mabuhay! Lonely the Manila Montreal. Really, maraming salamat.
Again, I remind the speakers to send me their prepared text by PDF so that we can circulate it to everyone. I'm now going to share some good news. Someone alluded to Remedios and the Canadian, the Quebec Council of Canadian, the Philippines Canadian Business and Trade are going to the Philippines to promote more exchanges, more business links. They have a meeting at City Hall and where they're going to talk about the Montreal-Manila Agreement as one of the assets that we should build on. Remedios, I'm going to have to come up and address it.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. It is with great honor for me to join this 20-year anniversary of the Montreal-Manila Friendship Agreement. Over the past 2 decades, our cities developed a relationship based on mutual respect, shared values, and a commitment to collaboration in trade, culture, and community. On behalf of the Quebec Council of Philippine-Canada Business and Trade, and as a member of the Trade Mission delegation to the Philippines, it is my privilege to extend out our appreciation of the opportunity
to further strengthen the partnership between our cities. Our shared commitment for fostering economic, cultural, and diplomatic ties continue to drive meaningful collaboration and mutual growth. As we mark this significant milestone, we also look forward to the upcoming trade mission to Manila from October 15 to 23, 2025. This is a testament to our enduring partnership and the exciting opportunities that lies ahead. Looking forward, I am confident the relationship between Montreal and Manila will only grow stronger. Through ongoing exchange and innovative cooperation, we can unlock opportunities for business, foster deeper cultural understanding, and create lasting prosperities for our communities. Let us celebrate our achievements and embrace the promise of even greater collaboration in the years to come. As the Quebec Council, we will continue to encourage Filipino to be an entrepreneur, to be into the business, to uplift their status in Quebec, all over Canada. So thank you for inviting me for this remarkable journey. Together, we will continue to write the next chapter of the friendship of success of Montreal and Manila. Thank you.
Thank you, Remedios, and I wish you great success on the trip to Manila. I got my fingers crossed that you actually get to see Isco. Give him my personal thank you and tell him we're watching him and we're hoping that he's going to take up on our side. I'm now going to call up Jeanette Davignon, the president of the Public Anon Association, who is going to tell us what they think we should be doing in this agreement.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, fellow community leaders, and dear friends, good afternoon. Magandang hapon po. Bonjour. At the outset, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Marvin Rotran for inviting the Tahiro Filipino Association of Quebec to be one of the sponsors of this meaningful occasion, the 20th anniversary celebration of Montreal-Manila Friendship Agreement. On behalf of Tahiro, I also wish to thank everyone who helped make our recent 34th anniversary gala and a joyful and memorable success. The tremendous support we received has inspired us to continue our community in Montreal and beyond with greater dedication and heart. Today, as we celebrate 2 decades of friendship between Montreal and Manila, we are reminded that true friendship knows no borders. It is built on respect, on shared values, and on a genuine desire to uplift one another. Mahiro is deeply honored to stand with all of you today, celebrating not only the milestone, but also the enduring bond of unity, compassion, and cultural pride that connects our 2 great cities and our 2 peoples. We all know how important the Montreal-Manila friendship is. Sadly, in the 20 years since its signing, it has lived more on paper than in action. But today, we have a chance to change that. I agree with the speakers. It's time to bring this agreement back to the foundation. As
President of Kahirap Filipino Association of Quebec, I propose that all Filipino associations here today join hands and send a united request to the Borough Council elected on November 2nd. Together, let's call for a motion to reopen the agreement and urge the new council and city mayor to restore and strengthen ties with Manila. You may wonder, is this even possible? Yes, but it will raise courage and unity. If the current administration phase, the challenge will be great. Yet, the champion in Stephanie Valenzuela and her team, who just left, unfortunately, the first Filipino elected in Quebec, now running for mayor of Codinez and Notre Dame Borough. She could lead this cause forward. Where can this renewed partnership take us? The future is open and the possibilities are tremendous. If we move forward as one, I'm confident this partnership will open new doors for both our community and two cities. Let us stand united to our voice, so our voice becomes stronger. Calling for a meaningful and lasting relationship between Montreal. Thank you all, and mabuhay!
Ladies and gentlemen, I can only endorse the proposal that Jeanette made. That's a great idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it myself. All the leaders of the Filipino community, all the organizations should band together and write to the borough. So let's do that in the next coming weeks and before the election and see if we can influence the agenda after the election. Great. In fact, if there's no objection, I'll send around a draft, which I think you might want to sign on to, and if everybody agrees, then we're good to go. Our last sponsor to speak, I told you before he arrived, he would arrive a little bit late because of traffic on West Island, is my good friend Ramon Vicente, the president of Filipino Family Services. Ramon, can you come up and take the floor? Come on, get some pictures of you. Come on up here and get some photographs.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. It is truly a pleasure for me to present today on behalf of the Filipino Family Service to help mark this important 20th anniversary of the Montreal-Manila Friendship Agreement. We are honored to be among the sponsors of today's celebration. We believe that this agreement, which has so much potential and which has to be known to Montreal administration, can become the basis of a far more vigorous relationship between the two cities in the future. Clearly, that will require a new city administration, and perhaps our beloved Stephanie Valenzuela, if she is elected, will be, as borough mayor, can be the champion of breathing new life into this formal friendship which received its final ratification exactly 20 years ago today. Allow me to give credit to where the credit is due. We thank Manila Mayor Lito Atienza, who brought forward Manila Motion 64, adopted by the City Council on August 31st, 2004, declaring the amity of two cities, and Councilor Marvin Rotron, whose work led to the Montreal side representing with its own motion. I thank Mayor Gerald Tremblay for his invitation to some 400 Filipino leaders and prominent community members to a gala night at the City Hall, led to the Executive Committee resolution of October 5, 2005, that we are celebrating today. Both Mayor Tremblay and the successor Dennis Coder respected this agreement. Delegation from Manila visited Montreal, while elected officials from Montreal were greeted in Manila. Yet since November 2017, the agreement has been in abeyance. The current mayor and her team have ignored it. They have not sent anyone as part of the ambassador's winter escapade tour as the past administration. We should also, June 2021, presented by Councilors Rotran, Belen Perez, calling on the administration to reanimating and growing the relationship. They have chosen not to do so, and this constitutes real insult to the Filipino community at large. Filipino Family Service would like to see communication between mayors and councilors in Manila and Montreal, restore the Twin City, and efforts made to sign sectional agreement to foster cultural and sporting exchanges while building trade links. Thank you everyone for your time who came here today to mark this milestone occasion. Mabuhay to all and long live
Strong words from my friend Ramon. He's a man who is measured and rarely uses strong language, but feel the city has dropped the ball. Je suis d'accord avec Ramon que la ville de Montréal a ignoré des motions qui étaient adoptées en bonne et due forme qui les invite à corriger la manufacture. Ramon basically suggested that the solution is right in front of us, the new administration. Well, as I said, it's not a partisan meeting, but however, there has to be a political price when you ignore repeated demands from the private community. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show a video now, which we call Opportunities and Challenges. I want to let you know, we have allies on city council in Manila who are waiting for a gesture from Montreal. There's been all sorts of people involved in this agreement over the years. Some of you might remember Deputy Cabinet Minister Peter Lubina, who was here in Montreal in 2016 and met with Russell Copeland and myself and went back with a letter which he gave to someone called Honey Laguna, who was vice mayor of Manila. She promised that she was ever mayor, she pushed for the agreement. Guess what? She became mayor and she tried to approach Montreal and nothing happened. Problems on our side, not. What can we do? If there is an agreement, this video will show some areas we might consider. I want a video that does not sugarcoat Manila. It shows the worst and the best of Manila. Manila is a country in development. Reach out to us, they want our help, we should give it. It's your amendment.
One of the most beautiful countries is also one of the most dangerous. Not only have decades of unsteady leadership followed centuries of foreign occupation, but its capital is the most vulnerable urban area to natural disasters on Earth. Conditions have become so challenging that the national government may leave. But most of the 25 million people living here will stay and carry on, as is their way. Fortunately, some major improvements are in the works. This is Manila, the island megacity. The National Capital Region of the Philippines comprises 16 cities on the island of Luzon. It's situated between hills and mountains, where multiple rivers from the fertile interior flow into one of the rivers, and has supported societies and travelers from throughout this archipelago for thousands of years. 450 years ago, Spanish conquistadors arrived, destroyed a small Muslim settlement, and founded the fortress city of Intramuros, from which they explored, evangelized, and colonized the 7,000 island chain they named after their king, Philip II. More than 300 years later, in the late 1890s, a brilliant Filipino student named Jose Rizal was studying medicine in Spain's capital, Madrid. This gave him unique insight into the evils of Spanish rule, which he shared in a series of passionate novels. Dr. Rizal wanted peaceful reform, but the Spanish falsely convicted him of inciting a violent revolution upon his return to Manila and executed him. His martyrdom fueled an insurrection that spread throughout the Philippines, and in less than 2 years, independence fighters had gained so much territory that Spanish control was confined to Intramuros and their ships in the port. But before the Filipinos could finish the job, a newly rising foreign power swooped in from across the ocean and stole their glory. In the pre-dawn hours of May 1st, 1898, an American squadron of protected cruisers sailed into Manila Bay and easily destroyed the outclassed Spanish ships still at anchor. After a similar victory in Cuba and a pre-negotiated mock battle at Intramuros to save the Spanish from the perceived embarrassment of surrendering to the Filipinos, the United States had won its first overseas war to become an emerging empire. Suddenly, it had a stronghold to defend U.S. interests across Asia. Though in reality, the forces of Filipino General Emilio Aguinaldo, who led the revolt after Rizal's death, controlled much of the archipelago outside of Manila and had already seized this opportunity to declare Philippine independence. Instead of reaching a diplomatic solution, the two sides fought a brutal, multi-year guerrilla war that the U.S. eventually won at the steep cost of some 4,300 American troops and 220,000 Filipino soldiers and civilians killed. Once the Philippines was firmly in hand, the U.S. government got to work trying to create the country it wanted, a reliably pro-American democracy. They established government institutions in Manila and gradually handed them over to elected Filipinos. In 1903, Americans formed 51% of the civil service, but represented only 6% in 1923. Hundreds of school teachers came from the US and were able to train Filipino teachers so quickly that by 1927, locals constituted nearly all of the 26,000 public school teachers. Unfortunately, just 5 years before the agreed-upon date for its full independence, and just 1 day after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Philippines was invaded by Japan. Before long, Manila was under Japanese control. 4 years later, the US and Filipinos battled Japan to retake Manila. It was the fiercest urban fighting seen by the Americans in the entire and left 100,000 civilians dead and much of Manila a smoldering pile of rubble. But the Japanese were gone, and the Philippines was finally free. Although Manila was quickly rebuilt and has undergone periodic bursts of modernization in the decades since, local and national politicians in the capital have largely failed to implement a consistent urban plan, deliver reliable services, or build a modern economy that benefits everyone. Part of their failure is due to a trend we've seen throughout this series, that primary cities are often the only place in the entire country where significant economic opportunity exists. New arrivals to Manila with little money in their pockets and no officials stopping them have built improvised homes wherever they find space, out of whatever materials they get their hands on. These informal settlements now exist all over Metro Manila. As a result, those who do own property erect walls and gates to keep squatters from filling every free nook and cranny, to block them from view and for obvious security reasons. This cycle has made it probably the most privatized city in the world, with jarring divides between rich and poor on display everywhere. With so many people focused on navigating day-to-day life, it is really hard to build and maintain investment in communal assets like parks, safe sidewalks, and transit. There is very limited above-ground rail and a bus network that mostly consists of these uncomfortable jeepneys. So everyone who can afford to drives, creating the most gridlocked city in Asia, if not the world. Daily commute times can reach an unfathomable 6 hours. That's how long it takes Emiko to navigate the multiple stages of her commute into her office in Metro Manila each morning and back home to Rizal each night, even though they are just 19 kilometers apart.
Really not efficient. We're wasting a lot of time just because of the traffic, the life, people's lives are getting messed up. On the weekends, I just sleep, watch videos, read a book, and sleep.
The situation, thankfully, is improving. Thousands of electrified jeepneys have hit the road, and construction has begun on what locals call the project of the century, the Metro Manila subway. When fully operational in 2028, it could serve more than 1.5 million passengers a day. As we saw, challenge engineers in the tropical Pacific face is flooding. Metro Manila sits below sea level and is sinking. Up to half of its land can be submerged now during heavy rains. In fact, Manila is threatened by more types of natural disasters than any other city. According to the UN, it is the only metropolis with serious vulnerabilities to all 6 classifications. Because of this, just like in Jakarta, the capital may be relocated to higher, less crowded ground. Unlike Jakarta's Nusantara, though, the Philippines' main candidate site, New Clark City, is on the same island as Manila, rising about 100 kilometers to the north. But not all developers have abandoned Manila. The new Bonifacio Global City, BGC, that's gone up over the last 2 decades, provides a safe, clean bubble for foreigners and wealthy Filipinos. By looks and design, it seems to rival many of the world's other new luxurious steel and glass cities. Of course, similar to Delhi's Gurgaon, it is mostly walled off from the extreme poverty existing just meters away. Honestly, though, after learning about the rough history that still scars Manila, it's impressive that it functions as well as it does. That's a testament to the resilience and promise of the Philippines. Hopefully they can build up enough trust in each other and begin tearing down the walls.
Well, everybody, I think this video is realistic. All right? There's great possibilities in Metro Manila. By the way, our agreement is not with Metro Manila, it's with the city of Manila. It's cities that was referred to in the video. Its population is actually smaller than Montreal, 1.5 million. Montreal just about 2. It's enormous. There are many big cities. And downtown is not Manila, it's Makati. That's where all the malls and major institutions are. Manila, but the whole region has the same type of problem. Need for better public transit. I saw some people shaking their head in skepticism when the video said the metro will be completed by 2020. Maybe they don't think it's going to happen. But for years, I was telling the government, when I used to be vice president of the STL, I used to tell government of the Philippines, you need to invest in a metro. It can't be the only major city in the world without a metro. We need to happen slowly. But however, when it comes to public transit, when it comes to urban planning, when it comes to flood control, these are all areas Montreal has expertise. So you see where I'm going with this? Eventually, an agreement that is real and alive, we can go to higher levels of government of Canada, and ask for support investing in something like this. Filipinos are one of the fastest growing ethnic groups in Canada. For those who do not know, there are more than 1 million Filipinos now in Canada. They're approaching 2.75% of the population, and many cities in Western Canada would have collapsed economically if it wasn't for the Filipino population. We could Edmonton and Winnipeg, to a lesser degree, Calgary and Vancouver, but even places like Regina and Saskatoon. We're seeing a lot of growth in the Filipino population, and there's real pride in being Canadian. But they also don't forget where they came from, and they want to see things work better at the country of their origin. We have the tool, it's called an agreement. Nothing's happened since November 2017. Let's hope after November 2025, we have people in office who are committed to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I now want to thank Panday today for having performed for us. Thank you as always available and always wonderful. And I want to do a special thanks to our friend Al Abdon, who is a confidant, always giving me good advice, and our sponsors for today, all the organizations. Thank you for having mobilized. The video of this will be shared right across Canada with the embassy. Now invite everyone to refreshment. Oh, sorry, I forgot. One more thing. Monday singing will sing us another song.
About friendship.
A friendship. Sorry about that.
Ate. Mas maganda siguro dito ba? Oh, kasi para di matabo yung di ba?
Always stand. 20 years.
Para di matabo yung sila. Yeah. Ganda yan. Alay?
Lyrics na. Amigos para siyempre.
Wala. Eh, kung naka-prepare sana, may labas ko. Wala naman na-prepare. Ha? Diyan nga siya para matakpan yung camera. Sipog ka dito, busog ka dito. So, dan tatakpan sila eh.
Sa primero, natabunan.
Oo, tabunan. Eh, muli ko ang tapunan. Kapay mga mamandong.
Ladies and gentlemen, the song performed by Panday today will be on the theme of friendship. This is what we're here about. Amitié entre les deux.
Amigos para siyempre.
Amigos para siempre.
What does it mean? Friends for life. You and I.
Power.
my eyes and see the way I feel and how the world is treating me. Maybe I can love you forever. Amigos, partnership, should always be my friend. Amigos, partnership, stop loving me. Partnership. You can say be my friend. Amigos, partnership, friends for life is just amigos, partnership, just knowing you are working my heart. Amigos, partnership, always be my friend. Amigos, partnership, friends for life is not for summer. Amigos, partnership, just knowing you are in this world and one apart. Summer is free.
Thank you, candidate. Thank you, everyone. There will be refreshments at the back of the room. Generate mange quelque chose pendant que bien. And I want to thank everybody for coming for this event. And we're going to run with it. And let's do what we can to move it forward. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Our friendship will go on and on. Manila to Montreal, side by side, and our hearts will always reside.